Hey horror fans, welcome back to another episode of Terror Talk where I discuss creepy clips online. The original horror music that you hear in these videos is composed by me. Now imagine being able to save on everyday expenses and put that money towards your next horror movie outing, spooky decor, or haunted carnival excursion. Be sure to watch all the way through as I have something that will help feed your next horror adventures. Now let's get into it and have some fun.
I never thought in a million years that anything truly horrific would ever happen to me. I'm an average person with a boring enough life that anything out of the ordinary was really out of the ordinary. This is why I was always okay with watching or listening to those creepypasta and true horror stories on YouTube. I still do watch them often, but after my own experience, these stories scared me in a whole new way. It was late at night, I'd say around 4 a.m., but I don't really know for sure, and everyone else in my house.
Has anything truly horrifying happened to you? Let me know in the comments below. There have been a couple of things that have happened to me that were actually genuinely scary. Like one time I did see a shadow person, which was really quite unique, actually. But yeah, let me know in the comments below if anything really scary has happened to you, because I feel like the people who are most likely, well, maybe not most likely, but are likely to have something horrifying happen to you are the ones that say, oh, nothing scary will ever happen to me. But then, never say never, because life is really unpredictable sometimes. And yeah, let me know in the comments below if anything truly terrifying has happened to you, because I absolutely love hearing people's stories on that kind of stuff. Like, I genuinely love hearing about that kind of stuff. So
Was asleep, my mother and both of my grandparents. For the past 2 months or so, we get at least one major thunderstorm per week. It just so happened that this one decided to start earlier that night. Now, I always enjoy a good thunderstorm, especially at night when you can go sit by a window and just watch the lightning. But something about the wind of them always creeped me out. Maybe the fact that it could be soft or deafening and switch between the two almost instantly. But for some reason, wind has always given me huge creeps. Now, this night's thunderstorm was one of the worst we'd had in a long time. It sounded like rocks were hitting my window all night, but I was enjoying listening to it while I browsed Reddit, as I do. And all of a sudden, the power went out in the blink of an eye. This was kind of creepy, but I didn't really mind, because I had my data and a decent charge on my phone, so I continued browsing. After a little while, I started to get tired, so I figured it was time to shut my phone off and get some sleep. I placed it on the side table next to me and rolled over to go to sleep. I guess I passed out shortly after, because I don't remember anything in between the rain hammering at my window and the eerie silence of a soft wind outside. I assumed the rain stopped while I was asleep. I rolled over to get more comfortable because my side was hurting, and then I realized just how parched for water I was. I took a few minutes to try and fall back asleep again, but it didn't happen. My mouth was just too dry. I sat up, grabbed my phone, and turned on the flashlight so I could have a source of light to the kitchen to grab a glass of water and go back to bed. As I opened my bedroom door, I was smacked in the face with a blast of cold air. It was freezing in the living room. I quickly threw on a sweater and continued to the kitchen. As I was nearing it, I could hear the wind becoming louder and the temperature become colder. I reached the kitchen and walked in, grabbed a glass from the cupboard, and started to fill it with water from the tap. I took a quick glance around the kitchen and noticed something weird. The door to the patio was left open. Naturally, I was weirded out by this and a little scared, thinking of how that could happen. I ended up rationalizing to myself that my grandfather must have left it open earlier that night and just forgot about it. I walked over to the sliding door, glanced over my shoulder out of paranoia, and slid it shut and locked it.
yeah, that would be rather unsettling, wouldn't it? Just to realize that a patio door is just kind of wide open right after a thunderstorm. That would be kind of creepy. That kind of gives me the chills right there.
I fast walked back to my room just in case. I opened my door and closed it behind me, and then laid back down in bed, my glass of water on my side table and flashlight still in hand. I was able to calm myself down slightly, enough to turn off the flashlight and try to get some shut-eye. Something inside of me wasn't letting me forget the possibility that there might be someone in my house. I got back out of bed again and slid.
And honestly, that realization right there, the possibility of someone being in your house after your patio door being open like that, I would not be able to get to sleep. And I don't think most people would be able to get to sleep either. And I know it sounds kind of silly, but after I realized that one of my doors is unlocked for a little period of time, I actually go around and check to see if there is anyone hiding in the closets of my house. Because while the chances of that are very low in the neighborhood that I live in, there are such a thing as squatters. And if you're not familiar with that term, a squatter is basically just someone who is probably homeless and they're just staying in your house without your knowledge or your will. And I think that is really terrifying. Squatters are really terrible, scary, horrifying people, in my opinion. But yeah, those are all just my opinions and thoughts. Let me know if you agree with them in the comments below.
My chair from my desk to my door in an attempt to keep someone out. I then checked the closet again, just in case. I laid back down again and kept my flashlight on as a sort of nightlight this time. Then, the most disturbing thing that's ever happened to me occurred. I felt a slight bump come from under my bed, accompanied by a creak of the bed springs. I then realized I hadn't checked under my bed like an idiot. It felt like I was going to vomit, and I leaned off the side of my bed and peered underneath. I saw the disturbing sight of an extremely unhealthily skinny woman with bloodshot eyes and yellow teeth staring back at me. She was smiling an ungodly grin that I still can't get out of my head. She stared at me for at least 3 seconds while I was still trying to process what I was seeing before she, I swear to God, cackled like a witch. At this point, my whole brain was screaming nope, and I leapt out of my bed towards my door, moved the chair as fast as possible.
Yeah, holy shit. I don't know about you, but this is just kind of giving me goosebumps right here because if this ever happened to me, like, have you ever looked under your bed, scared that someone might be there? And of course, probably most of the time, if not all the time, there's no one gonna be there. But in that 1 or 2% chance that there could be someone there, I feel like that would be one of the most terrifying things you could experience. Having some mentally ill person just hiding under your bed like that, like, just saying it kind of sounds like, whatever, but if you're there in that moment, holy shit, just think about that. That would be terrifying.
And sprinted down the hall to my grandparents' room. I banged on the door as loud as I could while calling for my grandfather. He was out within seconds and he had a gun in his hand, something he had never even mentioned having in the house. We ran to my room, him in front of my grandmother and I. We just barely caught a glimpse of a white figure running away from the bedroom window. My grandfather took a shot, presuming as a warning to tell them to never come back. We didn't end up calling the police because we figured they wouldn't be able to do anything since we don't have security cameras or have any idea who she even was. All I can guess was that this woman was dangerously ill and saw my bedroom light on before the power went out. I have no idea what her intentions were or if she even knew what she was doing. We're getting the windows and doors in the house installed with locks sometime the next week just for safety. And all I can say is, even if you live in a safe area or a trusted community, bad things still can and do happen. You always have to take precautions against such things.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that bad things can still happen in safe communities and neighborhoods. So just make sure that your windows and doors are locked pretty much all the time because you just never know. You can't be too trusting of people. In fact, I feel like most people you cannot trust. And I know that might sound depressing and gloomy or whatever, but that's how I genuinely feel. Like, most people sadly just, I don't know. Like, you really have to be careful of who you trust these days because those that are closest to you can hurt you the most, but obviously, like, you still want to have close relationships and friendships in your life, but just be careful who you trust because you just never know. And even if you are in a safe neighborhood, crazy things can still happen. But I thought this was actually one of the most terrifying stories in Mr. Nightmare's channel. And I hope you enjoyed my commentary and the music, and be sure to check the pinned comment below because I have a really cool opportunity for you that will help you start saving and making more money in these difficult financial times so that you can do more fun stuff related to your horror passions and activities. So definitely be sure to check that out and sign up to my mailing list because I'm also going to be giving you some really cool updates on different scary movies that I watch. I watch scary movies and cool disturbing movies all the time, so be sure to sign up for that if you want to, and I will see you in the next video.